What's going on, everybody? Hope everyone's having a great week so far. It is Thursday morning, and once again, it is time for the Going Broadway podcast. Quick 10 points for the first person that can name whose theme that was. Alex and Cole with you this morning. Cole, what's happening?
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the greatest wrestling podcast ever. It has been what we could probably say is a pretty great week in wrestling. There's a lot of stuff that went on, a lot of great matches that happened, and we're going to talk about all of it here today.
Well, we're going to get to as much as we can. I mean, there is just between events and just stuff that happened outside of regular programming, if you will. So just a blanket good morning to everybody, and please feel free to jump in on our conversation, jump in on the chat as you see fit. But for the time being, we're going to get rolling. So I figured we'd lead in with the Kevin Owens situation.
Yeah.
Before I get too far, I do want to say that all of you guys out there that were just like, oh, I wasn't surprised. Some of you I believe, but then there are some of you that are full of crap. Because I know for a fact that I've talked to some people that even said, he's probably going to go to AEW, but then they turn around and comment on our pages, oh, this didn't shock me at all. I knew he was going to stay with WWE, which I know that it does apply to some of you. You know, you legit thought he would stay with WWE. That's fine. I mean, it surprised me because of the fact that when you look at the totality of the situation, well, okay, I'll backtrack a little bit. A lot of people are saying that, you know, he's a family man and he's trying to look in the best interests of his family financially as opposed to just, you know, being able to live it up with his buddies in AEW and, you know, stuff like that. My argument against that is, let's say AEW offered him less than WWE. I still think KO could have made bank by doing his own Twitch stream, Pro Wrestling Tees.
I just saw the article of what they reportedly offered him. I don't know if you can match that.
Well, no, I'm just saying that let's say AEW offered him less.
I don't know if you can match what he just got offered.
Well, I'll let you take the floor from here because I've not seen what he was
trying
offered.
To find the article, but
okay.
It's reported that it's somewhere between $2 to $3 million per year for 3 years.
So it's a 3-year deal.
3-year deal,
okay.
$2 to $3 million, somewhere in there,
which would make him, you know, Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar money almost.
Now we know now because they came out and said that there's no merch sales coming anymore. So I think that number's a little bit higher, probably because they're including what would have been incentives for like merch sales and things like that, because WWE has shifted away from paying people out with merch and other things like that. But that's just his wrestling contract. That doesn't include anything that he could do as side ventures through WWE, because we know
which that could be part of his contract too. Maybe they'll let him do his. Well, he doesn't have a Twitch stream, but I'm just using that as an example. Maybe they'll let him do outside ventures.
They have some people who do. You know, R-Truth is on TikTok nonstop all the time.
Paige is on Twitch, and I mean, Granted, we've not seen her on WWE TV, but she is still contracted to WWE at this point.
There are other things, but $2 to $3 million. I'm just being real with y'all. Whether it's even if it's $2 million per year, that is an insane amount of money for someone who has not been Universal Champion in 3 years, 2 years.
That's a lot for someone who's only held a main brand or main card championship once, and it wasn't even for that long.
He hasn't held a title, period. I don't think in 2 years, a year and a half, 2 years. Last title he held was probably the Intercontinental of the United States.
Just taking a look here.
I'm trying to even think of a tag team. I don't think he's held a tag title.
Just trying to see if I could get a quick answer. I'd probably have to do some reading, which
either way.
Yeah, neither here nor there.
That's an insane amount of money. The fact that we can't remember a title reign, it should be telling. It is there's not one that's sticking out more recently.
And I'll preface by saying we get that championships, titles, whatever, they're not everything, but in wrestling, going back to the territory days, like that was your focus, is someone carrying a belt on your brand, on your program.
I look at main focus though too. Like, is he a focal point of what you're doing? And I would say storyline, he's always been a focal point. He's always been in a pretty prominent storyline when he's on TV. But at the same time, he's not been in their prominent belt, which is where all the storylines gear towards usually.
Right.
He's not been the winner of any. I know he's been in the race constantly. He's had great feuds with Roman Reigns. He's in a feud now with the foursome that they're doing between Bobby Lashley and Seth Rollins and Big E and all them. So he's always in the mix. But I thought that this was a phenomenal offer from WWE for somebody that they've not.
I'm surprised they gave it. If that's even anywhere near true. I mean, even if it's $1.5 million per year, that's still a big deal. I'm curious.
I was nervous to say because I don't know the source.
Well, that's fine, but I'm guessing that for KO to stay, and from what I'm reading, that
per Dave Meltzer.
Okay, so I mean,
it could have validity.
It's not totally unreliable.
Kevin Owens' new WWE contract pays him the region of $2 to $3 million per year for 3 years per Dave Meltzer.
Yeah, I was gonna say even if it's $1 million per year, I mean that's just. I'm curious. I'd be curious what his previous contracts looked like, and I'm also comparing in my head to someone like an AJ Styles, who is kind of in the same
category boat.
I mean, in all aspects, just
right.
As far as storylines go, as far as length of careers, on their, how many years they have left on their bodies, basically. So nonetheless, I'm surprised in that regard, but I'm also surprised because it's obvious that KO likes to take bumps. I don't know if likes to take them is he doesn't mind taking them, is what I should say. With AEW, granted, yes, I get that they're crowded, yet blah, 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 blah. He wouldn't have to wrestle as much in AEW. So that was kind of part of my logic as well, in that if he went to AEW, he wouldn't have to compete as often. He could possibly be home more. Because at WWE, he's going to be on the roads quite a bit. I mean, unless his contract says otherwise, it allows him, X amount of days, maybe like a Lesnar type deal where it's, not to that extreme, but let's say he's, maybe he only has to do like 8 pay-per-views a year. Maybe he only has to do, I don't know, 15 to 20 Raws per year or something like that. I don't know. I'm just throwing out random hypotheticals to try to illustrate my point that AEW I feel like would have given him a more lax schedule, at least as it looks from our vantage, from our perspective.
Now, I would say this when it comes to him, and I think this is where the brand split does come in handy for some of these guys, is that how many of them are backstage for SmackDown if they're considered a Raw superstar? Probably not all of them. There's probably a handful of them that they keep on hand just in case. They might tell them to be in the area for standby for whatever reason, but kind of like on call. But for the most part, they're only doing one show a week. They might do some house shows here or there, give or take, but
yeah, they're back on the road. But I mean, it's not like house show after house show after house show every night. So.
I'm assuming it's probably very similar to AEW for some of them, where once they're done with Dynamite, if they don't have Rampage that week, they can fly back to wherever they're going and be where they are. So it's hard for me to say that he's going to be on the road more. There is a little bit more because there's a pay-per-view every month. There, versus AEW, who does pay-per-views almost quarterly instead. So there are a few minor differences, but for the most part, I would think that the traveling would be somewhat similar.
Jamie Waldrop, whether it was a dig or not, I love the comment. They ain't got KO money after firing Urban Meyer.
Well,
that should mean they have the money though now. I mean, if they I'm sure they have to still pay Urban Meyer some kind of residual even after he's fired, but nonetheless.
Chris Robinson, KO doesn't like time limit draws.
Yeah, we'll get to Winter is coming here shortly.
David Tilley makes a good point. He may see retiring in 3 years and wants to make money now. He does have kids and such.
That could be it too.
I mean, here's the thing: WWE is not a bad place to be. We're treating WWE like it's a garbage company to work for. And here, the truth is though, they're paying him $2 to $3 million a year. And let's look at it from how it's been so far. Let's say he never wins another title. Let's say he never blows up to be their top star ever again.
Maybe he doesn't care to be.
He's going to continue to be the same character he's been for the next 3 years. That's $2 million to not have to be the face of the company. Sorry, Alex is an important man, apparently. That's $2 million. And I'm lowballing it because it could be closer to 3 based off of the report. That's $2 million a year. Let's just say taxes taken out and everything. $2 million a year to continue to be the guy that doesn't have to hold the title. He doesn't have to be the guy, all this stuff. And he might be. I'm not saying that he won't ever be. I'm just saying that that's a possibility, is that he's going to get paid $2 million to sit there and just do storylines, whatever comes his way. It's kind of that mindset of if I was going to go to the NFL and they're telling me, Cole, you're going to be a backup QB your entire career, you'll never, ever get to play one single down of football, but we're going to pay you a lot of money to sit on the bench. That's a free front row seat for me. You know what I mean? Like, so for him to love wrestling, to be in a company that's on television every single week, to stay with a company that has the track record of being successful for as long as it has been, and I'll make this argument too. There is nothing for him in AEW. Outside of a few dream matches, whatever, AEW's roster is freaking stacked, and it's going to continue to get stacked because they're going to go sign a lot of these ROH guys. It's very clear that they're going to go sign a lot of these ROH guys. Tony Khan's been pretty vocal about it, as always.
Let's put it this way. 2 to 3 years' time, your undercard guys are going to be like Jay Lethal and...
which is sad.
I agreed. I mean, your Kip Sabians and Joey Janela's and
won't even be there.
Won't be there. Miro's going to be on your undercard.
Yeah.
Just Varsity Blondes. I don't. They might
get
there.
to stick around. One, I hate to say it, but because of the Pillman name.
Yeah.
But two, because the tag division needs solid tag teams, and they at least are a. But they're kind of teasing maybe a division there. So I don't know. Not to mention you got names like Kyle O'Reilly floating around, like all the WWE releases too. And here's the thing that sucks as well is, a company like ROH kind of closes its doors, whatever, and they'll make their return. And you have all these talented wrestlers from ROH. And Jay Lethal kind of mentioned this when we had him on the show. There's such an overflow of free agents now. You got names like Bray Wyatt, who still hasn't shown up anywhere. You have names like Adam Shear, Titan, who's in a stable that has no company that they work for.
Which I want to talk. Actually, let's just pivot right into that.
So it is that mindset though. Is my point, is that WWE is not a terrible company to work for. I think Kevin Owens, in my opinion, it might be the unpopular one. I think he made a really great decision, because if he's going to have a shot at being a top guy anywhere, it's not AEW right now. AEW has way too many top guy potentials. Kevin Owens is deserving of it, but I don't think it's as easy to go to AEW and do it. I think WWE is a prime spot right now because they're getting rid of a lot of people.
Yeah, and real quick, Lumpy just said something that I posted on our social media pages. According to Cassidy Haynes, I believe, bodyslam.net, Brody King signed with AEW. He's somebody that, I mean...
They shouldn't announce
him, Malachi Black, unfortunately, it's just 2-3 years' time, that is going to be your under to mid card. I mean, Andrade, under
I hope not. I
hope not as well.
Aleister Black should be their champion at some point. I mean, like, the vignettes, the things he's doing.
He fits, okay, guess they're going to TBS, but TNT is kind of like their... What's their slogan? Like, we know drama or something like that. TNT has a host of characters like on their TV shows that air nightly. And so I feel like a TNT champion, at least for the time being, I don't know how this is going to look once they switch, but I guess it'll still be the same even though they're going to be on TBS. But their TNT champion needs to be somebody that is a character, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And if not the world title, I think he at least should have a run at the TNT title because, Malachi Black, Andrade, don't know if you need to put on Miro again, but that's just another example of someone that is a character. If I'm making sense here.
Malachi Black has the potential to go into acting. I mean, like the vignette I saw last night of him, I was like, this guy could do horror films. This guy could be doing sci-fi type movies and things like. I mean, this guy he's so what's the word? The character he has is so drawing. It's a crazy character. So I was upset when I saw the post and you were kind of like, that was kind of underwhelming on the Facebook page or maybe it was our chat our chat. I can't remember.
No, I posted on Facebook. I felt like I'll get to Winter is Coming in its totality, but yeah, I was kind of underwhelmed with it.
I was like, they're teasing this House of Black stable or whatever. Brody King should have just debuted in that. Like there should have been no announcement. Like he should have just shown up and wreaked havoc.
Well, in all fairness, AW didn't announce it. It's one of the
but they have control over that. They could have shut that down. They let that news leak.
Yeah.
Come on, Brody King's the one that got out of the bag and got announced ahead of time. Not any of the other big names that have shown up in AEW or.
Well, okay. While we're on AEW, I want to talk about this real quick, and this isn't really jumping the gun. I don't think it's going to be a long discussion. Do you guys remember that we were supposed to get some news / information about the Owen Cup?
Yeah, nothing.
Didn't happen. Do you think it's because of the Kevin Owens situation, not because of the name play, if that's the right way to phrase it, but because Kevin Owens' idol was pretty much his idol was Owen Hart? I mean, he named his son after him and the whole bit. It kind of makes me wonder if AEW somehow, for some reason, made the assumption that KO would play some kind of part in the Owen Cup, and because, he signed with WWE, that they just kind of put the kibosh on it for the time being.
I don't know about that.
Just speculating.
I like the thought, but he would have had a 90-day compete clause.
No,
I guess not, because his contract
January
was,
just would have. Once his contract would have run out in January, he could have gone where he wanted. Johnny Gargano, Kyle O'Reilly, they could go wherever they want.
I'm thinking he would have had to been released. But so I don't know. That still would have been a long timetable, though. I think to wait to make the announcement now, and then wait a whole nother. It would really have to probably be a month and a half before KO could do it, though.
Well, you could have done something like Ring of Honor did with their Women of Honor tournament for the Women of Honor belt. Just have a tournament, but then you've got like a mystery slot here and there, and you could just say the Owen Cup doesn't start until X date at the end of January, beginning of February, whatever. Right. So I don't know. Just throwing that out there. One other thing I want to bring up before we progress is, did you see this Control the Narrative stable? Control the Narrative stable. It looks like Killer Cross has joined.
Yep, he's in it.
Why wouldn't you have had him join at an actual event or something? Have him show up at the final battle. I don't know. It just seemed very anticlimactic for them to post on social media. Oh, by the way,
I agree with you. I think that to just announce him on social media was kind of a slap in the face. But he is filming a movie right now, so I'm curious if for them to really get the ball rolling and get them talking about this new stable that, again, has no company that they're with, which is insane to me with some of the names that are in it. I'm like, okay, they want to get this stable over, though.
Yeah.
So how do you do that? You take one of the biggest free agents that are out there who can't wrestle, though, until... I'm shocked they could even announce him yet, because he technically can't work for any wrestling company for the 90-day compete clause.
And maybe that's why they did it that way. I didn't think about that. That's a good point.
Because he was released, last month?
Yeah, Jamie just said the same thing, too. That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. So I guess that makes sense.
It sucks, though, because they could have held off. That would have been a nut, like...
Well, especially if he's making a movie right now. Why even...
If you're building a stable, like Braun Strowman, Adam Shearer, whatever you want to call him, is a big enough name to get your stable up and running. You already have EC3 in it.
EC3 isn't exactly,
a chump.
Yeah.
People know who he is. You have Wesley Blake in it, which I know, or whatever his name is now. I don't know, Wesley something. You have him in it. So you have a couple of guys who at least are recognizable faces. You say, free the Titan on Final Battle, and here comes Braun Strowman. That's enough right there to get you off the ground and running. Get the ball rolling. Go and book some shows. Get into a company at least. Figure out what you're going to do with it. Then when Killer Cross is done with his movie, have him debut as part of Control the Narrative to take your stable up the next notch. So I thought it was anticlimactic, as far as how they did it. But it made sense to me because they want to try to get the stable over on social media and with the public and the people. And, how do you do that? You announce Killer Cross.
That makes a good segue into a couple of events we're going to recap. The first one being Final Battle this past Saturday. Overall, I was okay with it. It felt like it started off slow, but then gradually kind of picked up a little bit. They had a pre-show where there's 3 matches. I only caught the 10-man tag. I didn't catch the first 2 pre-show matches. How much of it did you get to watch?
I actually didn't get to see the pre-show because when I watched it online, they didn't have the pre-show on there.
It was on YouTube, I thought.
I watched it after it aired.
Well, yeah.
When I went to watch it, they didn't even have it uploaded, and I was kind of bummed.
Well, I know.
So what were the matches?
So the first match was for the Ring of Honor World 6-Man Tag Team Championship, which, by the way,
that was won by
the Righteous.
Shane Taylor and them dropped it.
Yeah. Which I forgot exactly what our predictions were, but neither of us did too well on our predictions.
No, they shocked us.
Granted, we don't follow Ring of Honor with.
I think our predictions actually would have been right had it not been their last show.
Possibly. But yeah, Vincent Bateman and Dutch, known as the Righteous, won the six-man tag team championship over Shane Taylor Promotions. That match went 10 minutes. Again, can't give any input. Didn't see it. Second match was a women's six-woman tag match. Miranda, Elise, and the Allure defeated Chelsea Green and the Hex, 6 minutes and 50 seconds.
Oh, we got that wrong too. Okay.
So this match I can give a little bit of input. I mean, I don't have a ton of thoughts on it, but PJ Black, Flip Gordon, Brian Malonis, Beer City Cruiser, and world famous CB defeated LSG, Sledge, Max the Impaler, Demonic Flamita, and Will Ferrara, 10 minutes and 20 seconds. For a 10-man tag, I mean, it was okay.
A lot of decent names in there, though.
Yeah. PJ Black and Flip Gordon have this insane finisher where it's like the Doomsday device where you get the guy up on his shoulders like the Legion of Doom did. But instead of doing the clothesline, it is an off the top rope Canadian destroyer.
Are they a tag team, like an official tag team?
I don't really know. Again, I've not followed it.
That's an insane tag team.
It's a cool tag team. And just they call it the Black Flip, but it's literally Flip Gordon gets the guy on his shoulders. PJ Black does a Canadian destroyer off his shoulders, off the top rope, off his shoulders, and it is a really cool move.
Hey, they could get. If we're gonna talk about tag teams, that would be a tag team I wouldn't mind seeing in AEW or in New Japan, putting on some shows.
I feel like a lot of these Ring of Honor guys and not just because of the partnership, just because of the style. I feel like they fit New Japan more than anything else, especially New Japan Strong. I mean, it's not like New Japan isn't in
and both
the States
PJ
anymore.
Black and Flip Gordon have worked for New Japan.
Yeah. I know. I'm just saying
that's a crazy tag team right there.
Dragon Lee, first match on the actual pay-per-view, Dragon Lee defeated Ray Orris by pinfall, 11 minutes and 20 seconds. I was kind of underwhelmed by the match because Dragon Lee is, I'm accustomed to, when I watch his matches, which isn't often, but usually his matches are really good, and this just felt slow.
Now, this one was kind of a switch up at first, right? Like this initially wasn't the match that they had announced, and then it changed up, I thought.
I think this was the match they had intended.
Maybe
the only one they changed was Bandito.
Right, but for some reason early on I thought that they had Dragon Lee somewhere else and then they switched it, but I can't remember. Even if they didn't, this match felt like it was thrown together last minute though. It felt like they didn't really have a plan for it. It was just kind of like we want to get a match in that we should have done a year ago, The
ring chemistry just felt off.
Right.
Next match, Rhett Titus wins the Ring of Honor World Television Championship, defeating Dalton Castle, Silas Young, and Joe Hendry, 8 minutes and 15 seconds.
This one shocked me.
Not a bad match, but again, I don't follow Ring of Honor enough to understand the whole, Rhett Titus putting the belt on him. I get he's been with Ring of Honor for, I think they said like 15 years. So on paper, I get it. A lot of this pay-per-view, it could be the fact that I just don't watch Ring of Honor enough to fully grasp the gravity of the results of these matches. So, I mean, it was an okay match.
Right.
I
was shocked they didn't keep it on Dalton Castle.
I agree.
Really was.
The next match I really enjoyed. Josh Woods retains the Ring of Honor Pure Championship over Brian Johnson by submission, a little under 13 minutes. Josh Woods has got a future, man.
Josh Woods is a boss. That dude is, first off, he's a scary looking dude. He is not to be played with. That dude is a chiseled dude. I mean, like when he came out, I was like, yep, that dude is a boss. And he showed it. I'm interested. I don't see how he doesn't go to AEW.
I mean, he had a tryout already with Sean Spears on Dark.
Based off of his look and his vibe and everything, he would be one. I know I'm an advocate, but I want to see the wrestling world kind of balance out with talent. He would be one that I'd like to see in like NXT or WWE somewhere, just because he's
just curious how old Josh Woods is.
He's probably late 20s, mid 30s, like early 30s, if I had to guess.
Doesn't say. Josh Woods has been on NXT before.
To me, he's more, again, I hate to use the word pure, but that's what it is. He's such a pure wrestler.
Well, his background is amateur wrestling. So.
I think he fits where they're going now. He may not have fit when they first had the NXT that they had, but they're signing a lot of these amateur wrestlers as it is.
Yeah.
And he's got some experience. He'd be a really great person to bring in to NXT 2.0 and kind of help shift them to a new direction. So I enjoyed it, though. I thought he looked really good. And Brian Johnson, he brought a lot of character to the match.
He might be another member of this Control Your Narrative stable, too.
I really enjoyed the kind of the comedic character he brought into the match. So
the next match, yeah, Joe Howard says he's 32. I thought he was getting up there. So as far as fitting that NXT
30s. Yeah.
NXT 2.0,
he's a little above
borderline.
The mark. Yeah.
So nonetheless, next match, Fight Without Honor. Shane Taylor defeated Kenny King, 18 minutes. Might have been my match of the night.
It's up there. It was a really good match, and I knew it would be. Shane Taylor does not have the normal look of what we would consider a talented wrestler by old school standards and things like that. Shane Taylor's a boss. He has that mob boss mentality, and I think I mentioned this before, but he's the kind of guy that I'd love to see like a stable built around somebody being more of like a mob boss, and then having like a bunch of henchmen and like, different people under him. He's like, I wouldn't say he's the mob boss, but I would say he would be one of those like top henchman type characters. And I really enjoy him, and I was shocked. Kenny King's always good, but I thought the match was really good. I don't know if I could say it was match of the night, but it's definitely up there.
I'm still on the fence. But let's take a look at the rest of the card, and then maybe I'll have a different opinion once we talk about everything. Roxy retains, which I'm surprised by this result as well, defeating Willow Nightingale by pinfall, 9 minutes and 50 seconds for the Women's World Championship.
I was shocked until Deonna Purrazzo came out. When Deonna came out, I was like, that makes sense now, because they're going to continue to defend the ROH women's belt on other shows, and I wouldn't be shocked if you see Deonna win it at this point.
So this, I didn't watch any of this match. I was actually on kid duty at the time. I didn't even get to see the interaction with Purrazzo. I mean, I read about it. They basically have said that there's going to be a match for
the Impact title.
Which,
so Deonna's going to win the Impact title off Mickie James.
So it looks like it.
I know that based off of how she worded it in this promo. Once I beat Mickie James for the Impact title, I want to do a winner-takes-all women's championship match, and it's going to be the Impact title, the AAA women's title, and then the ROH women's title all on the line. I think Roxy will lose that match to Deonna Purrazzo, and Roxy will go on and do her thing. So it made sense to me once Deonna Purrazzo came out.
The next match, 8-man tag, Brody King, Homicide, Tony Deppen, and Rocky Romero, who they threw in the match as the pay-per-view began, defeating EC3, Eli Isom, Taylor Rust, and Tracy Williams, if I can talk. The match was okay. I expected more physicality, I guess. If that makes sense. But really the big story of the match was afterwards with, which we already talked about.
Control your narrative. It was kind of I'm going to say this. The promo that EC3 cut kind of sucked.
It did.
It was very anticlimactic, and I was like kind of uninterested. I was like, is this like his like going away speech or whatever? Like, is this what's happening? The only thing that got me is when he said "Free the Titan," and then Adam Shearer came out and wreaked havoc. But other than that, I was like,
yeah. The next match, also candidate for match of the night for me, Briscoes defeating OGK to win the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship. I thought it was a great match. Matt Taven can take bumps. I mean,
Matt Taven's an underrated boss. I mean, he's good.
And then post-match, FTR makes their appearance and forwards that feud, which I'm sure it's going to happen on AEW. I don't see how it doesn't happen on AEW.
Let's just be real. The Briscoes are going to sign with AEW.
Well, they're at least going to appear on there. I mean, I don't know if they'll sign, but of course, they're going to figure something out to where FTR and Briscoes are going to have a match. I wouldn't be surprised if it's at Revolution. I would be surprised if Briscoes don't sign with AEW, but if they don't, wouldn't be the first time something in wrestling has surprised me. Last match for the vacant Ring of Honor World Championship, the original Ring of Honor belt, mind you. Jonathan Gresham defeats our guy Jay Lethal, 15 minutes and 35 seconds. Good technical wrestling match, which is kind of fits that Ring of Honor-esque feel. I liked the talent coming out mid-match, actually it's kind of towards the end of the match. The thing that actually intrigues me most is the promo that Jonathan Gresham, did you see this? He did after the pay-per-view went off the air. Yeah. And I don't know if it was kayfabe, if it was a shoot, maybe a little bit of both, if it was to help forward his Terminus event, promotion, whatever you want to call it. But it does sound like that he's going to defend the Ring of Honor belt outside of Ring of Honor, which, I mean, I'm okay with.
The plan is actually for him to defend it on Terminus consistently.
Okay.
That's what came out in an article after his promo, is that the plan is for him to kind of make that the belt for right now that Terminus has as something to defend.
Okay.
So, which, again, makes sense that he won it because he's going to kind of be probably the star of Terminus starting off. There's a few big names that are rumored to be a part of it, Jay Lethal being one of them.
Did you say rumored to be a part of it?
Of Terminus,
He is going to be part of it.
There's a lot of names that I saw that were on this list. I was like, oh, wow, like this actually might be something to watch too, and keep your eye on. But overall, I thought the match was good. I would put it in the running for match of the night. I'm struggling to have a match of the night because the three that we named were all good for different reasons. But I thought it was a good match. I enjoyed it. I thought Jonathan Gresham. My only question now is that if ROH makes its return, which they showed a little promo that night of saying April 2022, does Bandito come back as the champion or does Jonathan Gresham?
They'll probably have some kind of similar
feud between them.
They're probably going to do something similar that they're doing in New Japan right now with Shingo and Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay got injured, never lost the belt. They're having a match at Wrestle Kingdom. They'll probably do something like that. That's my guess. Okay, so overall, what do you think? Give it a grade, A+ to F.
Probably a B. I wasn't wowed by the show. It was more of an emotional show for me than a wow show, because I think it was more about just having a solid show, no problems, no kinks, and just enjoying one more night together.
And the video tributes were cool too,
Right?
Which we didn't mention. I'm sitting at a B- myself. What'd you say your match of the night was if you had to pick one?
I think it would probably be the Jonathan Gresham Jay Lethal match, just because it had it you could tell the chemistry was there. It was a special moment. It just felt like it had the most climax to me. The other the Kenny Kingston Taylor was good. I think the Briscoes match itself wasn't as good as the ending with FTR, which is why I remember it a little bit more.
Okay.
Is because of FTR coming out at the end, but the match itself wasn't as good to me.
I'm a sucker for false finishes, so that's why I actually think I'm going to give the tag match my match of the night.
Yeah.
And I agree with Thomas. My grade would probably be higher if it would have started more hot and heavy. It just kind of felt like a slow build, which to some degree that's kind of how you want your pay-per-views to be if they're just not, all main event matches like an NXT card is.
Right.
And you've got 10, 11 matches on the card, so they're obviously not all going to be that, but I feel like it took too long to build. You really want to get my interest in the first match, and having Dragon Lee in your first match, I think that's probably what they were intending, is to draw you in and then have it be, just build further from there. But I felt like the first match was kind of a dud. This, really until you got to, hang on a second, I got to pull it back up. Really, I would say until you got to the Pure Championship match, and not even at the start of it, maybe a few minutes into that match, I didn't really feel like it was. I felt like it was too slow. So, all right. So let's take a look at Winter is Coming, and I will say I didn't get to watch all of it. I got to watch the majority of it. So
Well, there's only 3 matches.
Well, there's 4.
I don't know if I count the Wardlow match as a match, but
minute and 43. Ironically, that's one I got to watch. And okay, I'll just say this: I get why they did it, because it ended up being an hour time limit draw. And if you start that at 9 o'clock Eastern time, and say it's going to be an hour time limit, you're almost going to expect, okay, this is going to go an hour, or it's going to go 50 minutes, but then we're going to have a debut or whatever afterwards, and we obviously didn't get that. So right away, I'm kind of jumping the gun here. One of my unpopular opinions was going to be I didn't like that they opened up with this match. A lot of people online are just like, this is akin to the old school days, opening up with your hot and heavy match. Saturday night's main event was notorious for doing that, which I'm an old school guy, but at the same time, your main event is your main event, in my opinion. So, anyway, Adam Page, Bryan Danielson wrestles to an hour time limit draw, longest match in AEW history. Your thoughts
of the entire show?
Just this match. We're gonna do one match at a time. And
okay.
Then we'll talk about the show in its entirety, or its totality, I should say.
I hated the match. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. That match went way too long.
So you hated the match?
I did not like it.
Okay.
There obviously, just like any match, there were good spots. This match should not have gone an hour long. I'm sorry. And I think this is the problem, and maybe this would fall under unpopular. You know what? I'll hold off. I'll keep my unpopular opinion because that's going to be something big. I'll leave it with this match did not need to go an hour long, and I checked out. I'm gonna be real. I got on my phone. It was way too long of a match. I knew when they opened the show with it that Daniel Bryan was not going to win this match. All right, whether it was a draw. I mentioned to you a couple weeks ago that that there's a good likelihood that this is going to be a draw, because I did not see them giving Daniel Bryan a loss. But I didn't see Daniel Bryan win this match, and so an hour long to have really no. I mean, they booed. The crowd literally booed when the bell rang, because it was like, you made us watch an hour long match to have no solid finish. I was mind blown. I thought it was a terrible way to book the match.
Okay, so I'll say this. Again, I'm an old school guy. The name of our podcast is even based on the term going Broadway match, going an hour, going the time limit draw. So I didn't mind that. If you're going to have an hour-long match, you've got to tell a story in the ring throughout the duration of the match. And I'm not saying that they did or didn't do a good job of doing that. The problem I have is they took 4 or 5 commercial breaks during the match. It's hard to stay engaged in a match if you're taking, a fourth to a third of the match you don't even see because of commercial breaks, or you just get the picture-in-picture, but you don't hear anything.
Well, can't they pay for like an hour of ad-free, like they've done it before, right? Where there's like the last hour was commercial-free or whatever.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Isn't that a deal they could have worked out?
I'm sure they could have done something, but my point, to illustrate my point, whenever Kenny and Brian Danielson went the 30-minute time limit draw, there might have been one commercial break during that, but I thought they aired that entire match either commercial-free, or maybe they had one commercial break, but it was picture-in-picture. I would have been fine with, maybe 2 commercial breaks during that hour, not 5. I mean, and for goodness sake, AEW, don't use what is supposed to be your main event caliber match to promote your future programming and your future venues that you're going to be at. Wait until, all due respect to Wardlow and Matt Sydal, use that 2 minutes to promote stuff then. Because for storyline purposes, right now, no one's really invested in Wardlow and Matt Sydal. Just saying. Hang on just 1 second, guys. Okay. So as far as the match itself, I'm okay with it being an hour, just by virtue of the fact that they went an hour. The cardio and endurance that your body needs to do that. I will automatically give the match 4 stars just because of that, just for that reason only. And I get that Meltzer's probably going to give this 5 stars, and everybody online just raved about this match. And I get that people within AEW posted on social media that, this is a banger of a match, this was special, blah, blah, blah. And maybe it was better than, maybe it was better than it appeared to be for me, because, again, commercial breaks. I'm only going to give this 4.25 stars. And I feel like that's kind of being generous. I mean, they told somewhat of a story, but it was so disconnected with the commercial breaks. One of the commercial breaks, it was completely, there's no action on the outside. It was picture-in-picture at this point, but it was Hangman Adam Page was busted open at this point. The referee was checking on him, and it was like, an hour-long match shouldn't have 5 to 7 minutes of just a pretty much a rest period with the referee checking on a cut, or the medical team checking on a cut, whatever. Anyway, so that's my take on that match. And the fact that it just ended. Like, it just not abruptly, but after the match ended, the guys were just on the mat, and then they went to a commercial, and then we come back and just going on with the next match. It was like I understand the whole, they're going to have a rematch. And my argument is, guys like Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada, they can have repeatedly good matches. I don't feel like that is the same. I don't feel like I can say the same for Bryan Danielson and Hangman Adam Page. Bryan Danielson probably could, but to me, and yeah, I wasn't going to say much about this, an unpopular opinion, so I'll just say it now. I don't think Hangman Adam Page really fits that bill for me for a world champion. So
okay, I mean, yeah.
I mean, he's talented in the ring, but I don't think he's, a 5-star match guy. Without the help of
Another 5-star match guy.
Yeah, and Bryan Danielson is, don't get me wrong, but a lot of it is the disconnect with the commercials for me. And anyway, just throwing that out there. Wardlow, Matt Sydal, we just talked about. They're obviously continuing the tease with Wardlow and MJF, probably splitting eventually. Post-match, Sean Spears gets a call. MJF wanted Wardlow to go pick up champagne or something for his whatever. I don't recall the order, but I know there was a Bucks and Adam Cole / Bobby Fish promo.
Super Click and Bobby Fish.
Super Click and Bobby Fish. And they teased Adam Cole's gift to the Bucks next week, which I'm intrigued about, don't get me wrong, because
I think it's a debut.
It's probably going to be, well, if it's not Kyle O'Reilly.
The only reason why I don't think it's Kyle O'Reilly is that the rumor is that he's got a baby coming in February too.
Yeah.
And the rumor is he was going to take time off as well. Whether that's true or not, that could just be a really nice statement to say. And then AEW gives you the freedom to work whenever you want, basically. So, maybe he does show up. But that was a name I initially thought, and then I was like, I don't know if that fits right now. But what would be another name, I guess?
For what?
If it wasn't Kyle O'Reilly.
See, I don't know. I don't think it's going to. I'd be surprised if it's Johnny Gargano because.
Same conversation, right? Like,
well, not just that. I mean, the whole history of NXT, which I get that, just because they feuded in NXT doesn't mean that they would in AEW. But see, I don't know. I don't know if it's because. So it's going to be in. I'm not even going to try it. It'd be in North Carolina, or imagine Justin Roberts saying it. I don't know if he brings Kenny Omega back just as a
like
one-off.
a one-time thing.
So I don't know what. I don't know. I think it's jumping the gun to say it's going to be O'Reilly, but if it's not O'Reilly, then I don't know if it's going to be anybody. Period.
Right.
So, did not get to watch the next match, Shida and Serena Deeb.
It's the same Shida and Serena Deeb match that you've watched before.
It's it was part 3. Shida got the win, which I'm actually surprised by this. I know that she, from the odd standpoint, from betting and all that stuff, that Shida was the favorite. I'm surprised they gave her the win because she is going back to Japan like next month or something like that. So maybe it's because she's not going to be there long. I don't know. I watched the majority of the next match. I didn't catch the first part of it, but I heard that there was some kind of a dig during like the pre-match promo. MJF threw out a dig or something like that. A cheap crowd pop or something that had something to do with Ryback. Anyway,
I'm sure.
Anyway, MJF wins this match, which, by the way, I don't know what / how you would do with Dante Martin if he won this Dynamite Diamond ring.
It means nothing.
It does. Anyway, 12 minutes, 25 seconds. Post-match, FTR comes out. Then the lights go out. At this point, I'm thinking, okay, we're at least going to get the Briscoes debuting. Nope. The lights go out for Sting and Darby Allin. At this point, I feel like I'm being trolled by AEW. Because if it's just Sting and Darby coming out, why do the lights at all? I don't know. Anyway, I can just tell by the expression on your face you want to give your overall thoughts on the night in its totality. So
the show sucked. That's the first time I felt like I wasted my time watching an AEW show. I think the reason why I feel that way is that you book this like it's a pay-per-view in a sense, right? Like, you promote it, Winter is Coming, it's a big show. What happened during the last Winter is Coming?
You had Sting debut, you had a world title change.
It was a big show. You made it go all out. You're telling me all these names you've signed, or you're rumored to sign. You're telling me all these teases and things that are going on. You're telling me you couldn't have somebody at least debut. You're telling me that you had an hour-long match that came out to a draw, which I think was absolute bullcrap. And I'll explain more in a little bit, but absolute bullcrap. I wasted the first hour of the show. It's a 2-hour show. The first hour of the show, I watched 2 guys wrestle for the entire time to have nobody win. crazy.
Minus 20 minutes of freaking commercials.
Right. Then afterwards, you have me watch Wardlow beat a guy that didn't need to happen.
Why was this match even on here?
This match was terrible.
You could have had a number of different things. You could have had the Lucha Brothers defend the tag belts, which, by the way, that's been the most underwhelming tag title reign that I can remember, and it's not the Lucha Brothers' fault.
I'm literally looking at the middle of the card. Serena Deeb and Shida and this Wardlow thing did not need to happen. They literally could have done any other match and made it a longer match, and it would have been fine with me.
I mean, yeah, David Tilley, Cartoon Network champion, Jungle Boy, Sammy Guevara, your TNT champion, Britt Baker, your women's champion. Like,
your TNT champion wasn't even on the show, period.
Something. Dark Order, one of your most entertaining.
Britt Baker wasn't on the show.
No.
Not even a promo. That's what I'm saying. Not
Nothing.
a promo. Not nothing. Like, and that's the problem I have with the show, is that y'all got to start calling things what they are. This show sucked.
This would have been.
This was worse than Raw. This was worse than SmackDown. I don't care how good one match was, if there was great spots in it or not. This was a terrible show.
This would have been bad for a normal Dynamite, much less, like you said, this pay-per-view-esque event that they're having on TV. Like, I don't know. Like,
I've never seen a show do so much wrestling and have no legitimately good outcome.
I'll just be real with you guys. Even though we do a wrestling podcast, especially this time of year, my time is like, our calendar is slammed.
Right.
And so if I want to watch a wrestling event, if it's not a pay-per-view, if it's AEW, if it's SmackDown, if it's Raw, if it's something that is during the week, I will actually put it on my calendar and tell my wife, "Hey, I'm going to be watching wrestling tonight because this is going to be, a good event or a good show to watch."
Right.
So I put this on my calendar like 3 weeks ago. This was roughly, I'll say, an hour and 30 minutes of my time that I won't get back.
SmackDown hasn't happened this week, but so far, I'm telling you, for me, this was the worst show in wrestling this week. That's how I feel. I watched Raw in its entirety, and I was more entertained by Raw this week than I was AEW. And I'm not saying that I'm not normally. It's a 50-50 shot sometimes because, again, sometimes AEW just does stuff that I'm not such an AEW fanboy that I can't call it for what it is.
And listen, we've said this over and over,
Right.
and I'm just repeating it for any potentially new listeners or viewers that we have. I'm a fan of AEW. Like, I've got AEW memorabilia in my office. But this, really, not just this show, but the last few weeks, they need to figure out something.
When you get into, here's the issue I have. When you get into a problem that the only way you can be relevant or have a great show is having another big name debut, you have a problem. Because this show, everyone was really watching. Let's call it for what it is. Nobody watched this show for Adam Hangman Page versus Bryan Danielson.
And if they did, they're watching it because they thought it was going to be in the main event and that there's going to be some kind of a payoff in the end with a debut.
Whether it be that they interfered or whatever, we knew Adam Hangman Page was retaining this title. Anyone who thought Bryan Danielson was winning this is crazy to me because look at the history of this title. They've only had, what, five champions? Four? Jericho,
Moxley,
Kenny,
and
Page. So this title's not changing that quickly. That's why I had a problem with this whole thing in the first place. No one watched this because they thought Bryan Danielson was going to beat Adam Hangman Page. Everyone tuned in this night because they thought surely we were getting Bray Wyatt to debut. We were going to see the Briscoes come out. We were going to see whoever else is on the list of names that could debut. We thought somebody big was about to show up. What, Johnny Gargano, Kyle O'Reilly. We thought something was about to happen.
Even give us like and I don't know what situations are like with no compete clauses and this and that where everyone's at, but even someone like a Ember Moon or anybody that was in this recent round of releases, maybe that was with NXT and they had a 30-day no compete clause that was long since been up. Just something. But like to your point, if AEW's bread and butter for any event that they tout like this is with the expectation that we're going to get a debut. If that is their fallback, there's a problem. So,
again, I thought the show was terrible.
I mean, and I think this grade is being generous. I'm giving it a C-.
I could probably sit somewhere around there.
So, and C- for an AEW show, yes, that's terrible. That might as well be an F. But because I wouldn't even put this as that. You know what? I'm going D+ on this because this was below average. D+. So where I'm sitting, and that's notwithstanding the 4.25 star match that I'm giving it. But again, I think
1 out of 4 matches being good is not a good stat.
Yeah. Switch gears a little bit. Who is your wrestler of the week?
I struggled with this one between 2 people because I thought they both put on great matches. Jonathan Gresham is in my list, but Braun Breaker is making my list again because him and Roderick Strong put on a really good match on NXT 2.0. And I don't think the only reason why I don't think people are talking about it is because Winter is Coming was so heavily promoted and everybody was excited for it. ROH had Final Battle. You have things going on. Like, it kind of felt like the promotion of the match fell down in the mix of everything. But I watched it. Braun Breaker is a stud, man. Like, that dude is going to be somebody. And I like Roderick Strong too, but that match was a good match. Kind of back and forth on it, but I'm going to go Jonathan Gresham just because of the Final Battle and everything that was going on there. I went with Jonathan Gresham.
For the first time in a while, not ever, but a while, my wrestler of the week is going to go to someone from Raw, Bobby Lashley.
I'm so proud of you.
I mean, you defeat 3 guys in one night that,
top talents,
all world champions, current world champion. So, I mean, I don't know how it
current winner of a $2 to $3 million extension.
Yeah.
But I will say this: he shows me in this new feud why he is so needed right now in WWE. Like, he is such a breath of fresh air. It seems like I don't know. Like, this match has just gotten 10 times better for me.
And I like the KO Rollins dynamic.
KO's new character is a lot of fun to watch, actually. The whole, like, and that's no lie, like, catchphrase that he's running with right now.
I'm still waiting on the shirt. I'm surprised they haven't put something out like that yet.
I love it, especially when he was like, how about we both go in there together? And Rollins like, yeah, let's do this. Okay, you go first. I'll be right behind you. Like, he's kind of playing this like middle ground. Like, he's definitely heel, but like with face like tendencies.
An edgy Santino Marella kind of.
Like, he's definitely heel.
Yeah.
But a funny heel.
Indeed. Subject to change. So, again, if you're new to our show, this is where we discuss a championship or 2. Just like it sounds, could be subject to change in the near future. And near future is kind of in the eye of the beholder, if you will. But let's just say within the next month or 2. Let's take it a step further. Let's just say, and this applies to all companies, let's say a championship that we think could change before WrestleMania season. But again, that's for all companies. I'm just March time frame. So I'll let you go first.
One that has to change. It has to change. Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah.
It has to change. Rick Boogs and Shinsuke Nakamura should just go be a tag team at this point because that's all they're doing.
Yeah.
Shinsuke Nakamura needs to lose the belt. I have a few names in mind. I'm always going to put Ricochet's name in there just because it doesn't really seem like they know what to do with him.
I feel like you're with Ricochet, like the fandom aspect. You're with Ricochet like David Tilley is with Marco Stunt.
Except Ricochet is actually a really great wrestler and actually is believable to win a match. Marco Stunt is like I hate to be mean, but it's like watching midget wrestling. Like, I just can't get with him. Ricochet is dope. All right, and I love you, David Tilley, but the truth hurts sometimes. But Ricochet is a name that kind of stands out to me. I'm trying to think of a couple names. I would even be okay with like Cesaro. If you don't know what to do with him, putting him in the mid card. There was another name that was sticking out to me though the other day that they're not doing anything with that person, and it's like they would be a good fit in my opinion to. Well, Sami Zayn wouldn't be a bad Intercontinental Champion at this point.
Happy Corbin.
I could see that. Who's another? Are you looking at the roster?
No.
Oh, I was to say because
I'm just looking at comments.
well, I thought maybe you had pulled it up because there's a couple of names that are on the Raw or on the SmackDown roster that I was kind of like, yeah, I could see that person or that person, and so I think that one has to change. Like,
let's.
He's only defended the belt once since he's won it. He's not. I don't think he's even really had singles matches. If he has, it's with Rick Boogs at ringside against another tag team with their partner at ringside.
Listen to these names of some of the Intercontinental champions within the last 2 years, roughly. So this is after the Intercontinental Championship went from Raw to SmackDown in 2019. So Shinsuke won the belt in July 2019. Then Braun Strowman in January of 2020. Then Sami Zayn. Then it was vacated. Then AJ Styles, Jeff Hardy, Sami Zayn again, Big E, Apollo Crews, and now Shinsuke. Shinsuke has held the belt for about 120 days. How many times has he defended it?
Once. And I'm pretty sure it was on the pre-show of a pay-per-view with a match that wasn't even like announced. Like, I'm pretty sure it was not a feud by any means. I'm trying to, because it's gonna bother me. I had a name in mind that I really thought would have been a good name. I want it broken down by brand. They don't do that anymore, I guess. Oh yeah, they do right here. All right, SmackDown. Cesaro was one. Oh, Drew McIntyre. If you're not gonna put Drew McIntyre in the main card picture anytime soon,
I could see that.
Make Drew McIntyre your Intercontinental Champion. Have him come out every single week. You're already having him wrestle every single week. Have him come out, be Intercontinental Champion. They did this with Seth Rollins, and it was a really good place to put him while they were trying to figure out what to do with him. He was Monday Night Rollins. He was the champion when he dropped it. He became Intercontinental Champion as a face. Drew McIntyre would be the guy. I would have Drew McIntyre feud with Shinsuke Nakamura. Have Drew McIntyre beat Shinsuke at day one. Do it right now. But it's got to change. Anyways, yeah. I digress.
Just 1 second. All right. So I'm jumping back over to AEW, and I'm almost saying this for selfish reasons, but partially for storyline purposes as well. Because of the network switch soon, I would say Sammy Guevara is probably going to be dropping that belt within the next 2 months.
Revolution?
Maybe. Possibly before that. I don't know. And it could just be because AEW has felt so underwhelming to me in general lately. I mean, don't get me wrong. I still watch it. I'm still going to watch it. Same reasons that a lot of people just stick with WWE. I commend you and I credit you for it. But I don't know. I can't really put my finger on it other than just to say it's not doing it for me. I really feel like they should have pulled the trigger, put it on Jay Lethal, have some kind of Ring of Honor-esque invasion, although you don't have to call it that, but you could just
unity, a loyalty.
Yeah. So
and I would say this, Sammy Guevara should have had this title back when Inner Circle was really booming.
When they were their heels.
That way they could have helped make him relevant every week. He doesn't really he cuts kind of the same promo every single week. He comes out, someone says something to him, he goes, okay, I'm going to beat you up right now. And that's it.
Lumpy is saying, hope to God it isn't Cody. No, I agree. It needs to be like Ethan Page or something.
Ethan Page, Scorpio Sky, Malachi Black, Andrade.
There are too many guys that you could...
there's a lot of mid-card talent. Jungle Boy. Like, you want to put it on somebody that people get behind. Jungle Boy would be a great person right now Let's make it happen.
Give us another one. I've got two more I can definitely mention.
I'm trying to think. Let's jump over to Impact.
You might be taking one of mine.
I think the main title has to change.
Oh, okay.
I think the one you're gonna say, I already kind of alluded to it earlier. I think maybe, but
yeah, the women's title.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll exclude that one because we kind of touched on it already.
Yeah, I don't. The way Deanna Purrazzo worded it at the pay-per-view, I think it's clear what's happening there. But
Yeah.
I'm not digging Moose as champion. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. He's got the build.
I don't watch it enough to really.
But here's the thing: anybody whose name is Moose, I can't. I'm not mad at him. Do you, boo boo? Like you.
Wait, what?
You go right ahead and be Moose, but you can't be my world champion with the name Moose. All right, like
repeat what you just.
You heard
said.
what I said. Do you, boo boo? All right.
Where did that come from? I've never heard of that in my life.
That's like that Valley Girl. You know, you do you, boo boo? You know, like that's that Valley Girl stuff.
I regret asking you to do.
You
that
know,
again.
I'm sorry. I'll do it as many times as you like.
God, no, I'm good. I'm good.
But it's like Moose. Like I feel like if they really want to have a good like feud with him, like they should bring in someone named like Cantaloupe and like just let him go to town. Like
there have been. In hindsight, there have been so many wrestling talents that have had the name of some kind of a steer, cattle, whatever. You had Bull Buchanan. I just had another one on my mind. I can't think of what it was.
Like bring in Moo Moo Man and like let's just do it. Like I don't understand a guy named Moose. I just can't get behind it. The build's right, everything's right. Like name him some like ridiculous name if you want to, but Moose should not be it.
Give him his real name.
Like he wants to be like DeAndre, you know, Jillian, Bajillion, whatever. I don't care what his name is. Give him some name that actually fits his build. Moose is not it.
Yeah.
I don't know who I would pick to beat him, but
I think he's getting ready to has started or getting ready to have a match with Matt Cardona. So
Matt Cardona's doing his thing though. I can't get mad at him.
Yeah, that's right. Johnny the Bull. Forgot about him. Anyway. So yeah, the Impact Women's Championship we just mentioned. I feel like Mickie James is going to drop it back to Deanna.
That was going to be a short run.
We got to mention the NXT Championship. It's only a matter of time before Braun Breaker wins that. It's going to be Tommaso Ciampa dropping it to Braun Breaker. I don't know how you don't do that at this point. As much as you're building this guy, and
I really could see Tommaso Ciampa being in the Royal Rumble and that being his call up. They do have another NXT takeover planned, but I don't know when it is. I think it's after the Rumble technically, which isn't unlike WWE. They call somebody up while they're still the champion. They've done it several times. So I wouldn't be shocked if we see Tommaso Ciampa enter the Rumble and he ends up on Raw or SmackDown somewhere and then drops it at the next NXT pay-per-view or War Games, which they are going to continue to call it War Games, I guess.
Yeah. Because
the next one, I already saw it. It was announced as NXT War Game, or not War Games, TakeOver.
Oh, they're keeping the TakeOver name.
I think so.
Oh, okay.
I from what I read, unless that writer was just calling it that because they don't know what they're going to call the pay-per-view yet, but
possibly.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if he drops it to Braun Breaker then and Tommaso moves up because NXT 2.0, this last week, I was very entertained by 2.0 this week. They are really starting to come together with some of these names, and we're starting to get to what we kind of talked about this on one show.
Real quick, Jay Lethal is not Ring of Honor champion. Just throwing that out there to someone that commented.
Oh, yeah. He did not win. So we talked about this on one show. We talked about if we had to pick our top 8 or whatever guys to run with and whatever. NXT's really getting to that old school mold of we're going to run with these top 8 names as far as men's talent goes. And we're going to really push those 8 names. We're going to have other guys kind of in the mix. We're going to work on them. We're going to kind of throw them in here or there, get them ready. So when Braun Breaker does move up, there is another person to slide into that top 8 slot.
Yeah.
And so I'm really getting impressed by the mold that they're having because Tony D'Angelo is getting over. Grayson Waller is getting over. Braun Breaker getting over. We talked about Solo Sikoa. Is that his name? Solo?
Close enough.
Sequoia, or I don't know. He's getting over. Like Carmelo Hayes getting over. Like they're really putting together like a top 8 guys, and then they're starting to kind of do it with the women's division too. So I'm getting impressed as they're building this up. And so Braun Breaker's got to become the champion, and I wouldn't be shocked if he has a lengthy run as NXT champion. But that's just me. But I agree. I think as much as I like Tommaso Ciampa, that is not where he needs to be. I like him in WWE, and I think there's a lot of great feuds and great things for him to do. And I would even argue if you need the Intercontinental Championship to change, Tommaso Ciampa.
That's actually the next thing I was going to say. It's like you're reading my mind. But I agree. I think whenever he goes to the main roster, he needs to go to SmackDown.
Oh, he'd be a breath of fresh air over there for sure.
You got one more?
I mean, I could always come up with something.
No, that's fine. We can keep right on rolling with the program, if you will. Where's that?
Just when they think they got the answers, I change the questions.
This is the point in the show where we read your guys' fan mail. Thank you in advance to everyone that would like to submit any questions to us. And we're going to get to a few that were submitted ahead of time. We actually had quite a few submitted ahead of time. So, some of these we already covered. Thomas asked, what were your thoughts on the Ring of Honor pay-per-view? I thought it started slow but got better as it went on. Yeah, I agree. I don't really have anything else to add. Excuse me. David Tilley asks, how would you book the MJF CM Punk feud going forward? Who should get the first win, and where would you go from there? I'm actually going to save my answer for unpopular opinions.
Can I save mine too?
Sure. Thomas asks, do you think Johnny Gargano is really done with WWE/NXT? I'd be surprised if he's not done with them. Now, it does depend on how long his hiatus would be. Like, if he plans to be off until the spring, I could see him going back to WWE. But, you know, it's not easy getting a pro wrestling tees store going. He's put a lot of work into his Twitch channel, which it's brand new. It's not like he had it at one time and then got rid of it and then brought it back. I watched part of his first stream earlier this week. Just all these other different things he's doing outside of WWE that he wouldn't have been allowed to do inside WWE. If he plans on taking a longer hiatus, then I could. The longer this goes on, as far as his hiatus goes, the longer the duration, the more I could see him going back to WWE. But if he plans on, jumping back in shortly after the birth of their child,
3 months,
if not before,
right?
I could see him winding up in AEW. I could see him winding up doing, indie shows, both. It's not really a good solid answer, but that's my answer.
Here's why I'm at on it. He's not signed to WWE right now. So he's going to be off, let's just say, at least 3 months. From December 10th to somewhere in February for sure. If not, probably even into some of March. Because he's going to want some time with the baby, obviously. So we're talking 3 to 4 months at least for him to be off TV, to be not signed anywhere. You got to make money. It's not like he's just rolling in so much money that he could just take months off. That's not smart anyways.
No.
So what do? WWE, if I'm going to go back to WWE, I'm going to say, hey, listen, during these 4 months, I'm not going to sign because you can't use me because I'm going to be sitting at home. You don't want that. I don't want that. We can't come to terms there. Give me 4 months. During that 4 months, don't be offended, but I'm going to go turn my pro wrestling tees on because I'm going to make a ton of money off pro wrestling tees.
And he will.
I'm going to make a ton of money off that. That's going to help pay my bills. I'm going to turn my Twitch stream on because I know even though I haven't done this before, I know I have such a fan base that's going to tune into my Twitch streams, and they're going to pay me to.
His first stream with little publicity other than just posting it on his Twitter and his Instagram, he peaked at almost 3,000 viewers at one time.
Oh, yeah.
Adam Cole and his Chugs Twitch stream where he just plays games and stuff, he might get 600, 700, 800. Outside of, if you guys are familiar with Twitch, you can do like raids and things like that. Right. So, let's say someone has a few hundred viewers at one time and they're ending their stream, they can send those viewers to any stream that they want. So,
right.
But organic original viewers, it was almost at 3,000. That's crazy for anybody, much less your first stream. So he's going to make bank.
Oh, yeah. So he's got to find streams of income to do. I wouldn't be shocked if he does some autograph signings and shows up at some conventions and things like that.
Yeah.
One-off things like that. But
he's got a YouTube channel, too, that he said he's going to put content out, so I'm sure he's going to get ad revenue from money. That.
So my opinion is if you're going to be off, 4 months to me is enough time to say, you know what, that's a big enough window that I'm going to turn my pro wrestling tees on, that I'm going to do this. And if I'm WWE and I want him to come back, I'm going to say yes to all of the above. Go turn your Twitch stream on. Go sell your pro wrestling tees.
100%.
Go do whatever you got to do, because when you come back, you're going to still be relevant. And that's the point that I would be looking at, is that Johnny Gargano is going to keep himself relevant while he's not signed with us, while he's not on TV with us. And when he's ready to come back, because his wife's still going to be signed with us, they're going to want to be on the road together with their little one. He'll come back, he'll sign, we'll move him to the main roster. So my answer would be he's done with NXT. He's not done with WWE. I think. Oh
yeah, I agree with that part. He's done with NXT for sure.
I think he'll re-sign when the time is right. I wouldn't be shocked again if Tommaso Ciampa's moved up, if you see a reunion of DIY and we get some cool tag matches that we've never seen. Usos versus DIY, New Day versus DIY, War Raiders and DIY. I think they've done it once in NXT, but that would be a fun one to watch. So a lot of fun stuff there. So I don't think he's done, but I think that's why I'm like, okay, yeah, he's got to make money. So it makes sense. Go make your money, Johnny Gargano.
Let's see. I'm trying to pull up something real quick.
Chris says, is the cut of shirts from Pro Wrestling Tees really that much to sustain as a sole income? No, it's not his only income.
By itself, no. But I mean, if you
were to add in Twitch, which there are people that literally live off of Twitch income alone. That's why a lot of these wrestlers have left WWE, because their Twitch is actually making enough money for them to be like, you know what? This is enough for me to say I don't want to be run and governed by WWE to tell me what I can and can't do. I can go make money off of Twitch. We're talking about three or four different forms of revenue coming in for Johnny Gargano. Not to mention his wife is still signed by WWE and getting her paycheck while sitting at home on maternity leave. So you got the Pro Wrestling Tees, which is a good chunk. It's good money.
Well, it depends on
how you sell, obviously.
Well, Pro Wrestling Tees, I think it depends on. They don't have like their rev split share isn't the same for everybody.
Of course, it's based off of each person's contract.
We don't know what deal Johnny Gargano has worked out, but let's just say hypothetically, it's at least 50-50.
Yeah.
I mean, Johnny Gargano, I wouldn't be surprised if it's 60-40 or 70-30 in favor of Johnny, just because of the insane amount he's going to sell. If he let's just say it's 50-50 though. And I'm just doing the math in my head. Let's say $30 a shirt after tax and shipping and all that stuff. If he sells, let me get my calculator out here. Let's say he sells, give me a number, 500 shirts.
Sure.
Divide that by 2, he gets half of it. $7,500 right there. I mean, and that's just from Pro Wrestling Tees. So it's not enough to sustain, but it's enough to supplement for sure. This is the thing I was getting to, though. I mentioned Adam Cole on Twitch, and, he averages a few hundred viewers at a time, usually, just from what little I've seen. from. So granted, this is a 2-year window. It looks like. I would venture to guess that most of this has been within the last year. Just generally, that's how revenue works. Like year to year, you increase it by a certain percentage. From September 2019 to September 2021, Twitch by itself, Adam Cole made an estimated $318,000 just from Twitch. I wouldn't be surprised if $200K of that is from within the September 2020 to September 2021, just because of increasing popularity. So if Johnny Gargano in his first Twitch stream had triple that amount in
viewership,
yeah, it's only going to increase from there. So
no, I'll put it this way. No one outside of WWE only has one form of income coming in.
Right.
They're all doing separate things. Now that he has the freedom to do what he wants, he also can get ads. He can get companies that he wants to endorse or whatever to be on his YouTube, on his Twitch, and promote them that way. So,
and he's a very pro local business type guy, which is awesome. I'm the same way. Support your local businesses 100%, especially this time of year. I wouldn't be surprised if he works something out with some of his local like Cleveland businesses. I know he's promoting some. I've seen him promote some on his Instagram page. So nonetheless, he would be fine for 4 months or X amount of time while he's away from WWE for sure. Let's get to a few more questions. Where's it at? There it is. We kind of already touched on the FTR Briscoes feud. Touched on Hangman Page a little bit as far as champion goes. Let's see. And by the way, guys, if I'm skipping over any questions, it's because I kind of want to give equal opportunity to people that ask questions. Like I know some of you guys submit a lot of questions, and we do appreciate it. Don't get me wrong. I just don't want to answer questions from just only 2 or 3 people, if that makes sense. There was a question I saw earlier. Let's see. It's not a question, but Jeremy, I appreciate the words. He said, side note, glad you guys were okay after Friday night. Yeah, we had some intense storms that came through here. Actually, just, if you guys have seen on the news, that Amazon facility that got hit by a tornado, that's literally, what'd you say, 5 miles from here?
Yeah, pretty close.
So, it was kind of, surreal that Friday night. So we were sitting in our basement, and I get, I have a weather radio that said tornado warning going off, whatever. By this point, I thought it was just a rehash or a reminder or whatever, because that happens. But then pull up something on my phone, and I show it to my wife, and it says, large confirmed tornado located over Edwardsville. I'm just like, oh, okay. Right. So anyway, Jeremy, appreciate the kind words. Let's do a couple more questions. Let's see. I would love to do this, but I think this would take a lot of time. David wants us to predict AEW Night of Champions.
When is that?
Or it's Battle of the Belts, I'm sorry. It's in January, I do believe. January 8th. So
have they announced the card yet?
No. All the championships will be on the line.
Well, let's save that, David, for when they actually announce the.
Well, hold on. Let me take a look at this. So January 8th,
because that's close. But if they haven't announced a card,
well, the good thing about January 8th, and I thought this, January 8th is a Saturday, so it's a special Saturday show. Surely the card by January 6th will be revealed. We'll do our predictions then.
Yeah.
We do predictions and recaps for any special events, even if they're not a pay-per-view.
Right.
But like Winter is Coming, Battle of the Belts.
I'd like to know the card if I'm going to predict it.
Yeah. I 100% agree. Justin Green asked, what's the news on Samoa Joe? I have no idea. Not a clue. I've not heard a thing.
I heard he was scouting right now. Like he's scouting for WWE right now. He's probably, here's the thing, he gets injured, y'all. Like he does not know how to wrestle without taking the bumps that he takes. or he doesn't want to wrestle without taking the bumps that he takes.
Yeah.
And he gets hurt. He's hurt. He can't do what he used to. I hate it. I love Samoa Joe. I think he's one of the guys that will go down as someone who should have held the main title on Raw or SmackDown, but he gets hurt.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh. Had one more question. I got to find it again. And guys, we sincerely appreciate the questions. Really, we do. I can't emphasize that enough. Okay. We'll have this be our last question. Lumpy asks, when do you see Rollins and Becky finally being together on screen? I mean, they are already raiding each other's wardrobe. I don't know if we will see it.
I don't think it makes sense. They've already done the Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch thing as faces. In that, what was it? Lacey Evans versus Baron Corbin.
Yeah.
And Baron Corbin, I should say. I don't really care to see it on screen. Not that I'm sure they would be entertaining. I'm sure they could find a way to make it work with them both being heels and all that stuff. But honestly, Becky Lynch is better on her own. She's already, in my opinion, struggling to be a heel because people want to cheer her. And Seth Rollins is definitely better on his own. I mean, he doesn't need that to get him over. They were both struggling to get over right now. I could see it, but
yeah,
I don't think it makes sense.
Before we transition, I'm going to read an article, not all of it, just read some of it from Fightful about Kevin Owens staying with WWE. It was first reported by Fightful Select, Sean Ross Sapp, yesterday. But he actually recorded a podcast with TVA Sports, Antipodes de la Lutte. It's Canadian. I don't know French. So anyway, but he actually recorded this earlier this week. I don't have a date, but this Pat LaPrade, again, I'm bad with pronunciation and names. He posted on his Twitter that, you know, he confirmed that they had recorded a podcast and that KO gave his comments on the situation. But anyway, and this is a direct quote from Kevin Owens. He said, "I'll just say that my contract still ends on January 31st, but not 2022. I will still be in WWE for several years. The decision was pretty easy because it was the best thing for my family, really. When it comes to that, it's always a pretty easy decision to take. WWE has been my home for 7 years now, so I have a sense of belonging. Basically, I spent the majority of my career here. When you look at all the wrestling companies I've wrestled for, in WWE, that's where I've been the longest. That's where I need to be for the next few years. That's how I felt, and that's the decision I made."
So basically, his career will, if he was to be done after this next stint, he'll be with WWE for 10 years.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool landmark to hit. So,
barring any kind of weird releases or injuries or just some kind of weird heat with WWE, I see him finishing his career there.
now that's the danger of his big contract too.
Yeah.
Is you know, if you remember, Braun Strowman got a pretty big deal and then was released because they got to a point where, like, we're paying you a lot of money and we don't really have
We're not using you. Yeah.
Now, Kevin Owens is a little bit more versatile than Braun Strowman, but again, that is the danger of getting a bigger deal.
Oh, I see. Okay, so David Tilley wanted to know who we think should be the challengers for Battle of the Belts.
Oh, okay, that's a little bit easier.
We can just throw some out. So let's just tackle the women's championship first. Britt Baker defends against.
If I had my pick, I would want it to be someone that she hasn't really faced yet.
Well, let's put it this way. I think, well, it kind of depends on what happens with the TBS Championship tournament, honestly.
Which that would probably be debuted that night, right?
The finals, maybe. I don't remember. I don't recall exactly.
Because their finals are almost there. They're in like the semifinals right now. Because it's Jay Cargill and Shida, and then Ruby Soho, and
the inaugural champion will be crowned on the debut broadcast of Dynamite on TBS. So it's actually going to be before.
So it'll get defended.
So
for the first time.
It might be defended.
Okay, so and our final four on that match is who? Jade Cargill
against Thunder Rosa.
That's
Nyla Rose against Ruby Soho.
So I think Ruby Soho is going to beat Nyla Rose, and I think Jade Cargill and
Thunder Rosa. Jade.
I don't know though, because we haven't seen Thunder Rosa versus Ruby Soho, and I think that would be a crazy match.
We haven't seen Jade Cargill versus Ruby Soho.
Yeah, but that's not as big of a marquee match as.
No, I know, I agree. I'm
gonna say Ruby Soho and Thunder Rosa are gonna be the finals. Jade Cargill might be the one I would predict to be the first title defense though. So I'm gonna say Ruby Soho wins the tournament.
Okay.
And is gonna be the first TBS Women's Champion. I'm gonna say Jade Cargill will be her matchup for the TBS. I'm gonna say Thunder Rosa. Even though we've seen it before, I'm going to say Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker.
That's where I was going to. If you don't have that, you'd really have to do this in a hurry, but you could. They've planted the seeds for it. You could have Jamie Hayter finally splitting from Britt and Rebel and have that match, but again, you'd really have to forward that storyline in a hurry if you're going to make that work. But my initial thinking was, I agree with you. Britt Baker against Thunder Rosa.
Could you bring in someone that's not on the roster? Because I could say Roxy.
Potentially.
Roxy, since now she's not there and doesn't need the win.
Possibly. TNT Championship match.
This one's tough for me.
I mean, I think we're inevitably going the route of eventually Sammy Guevara against either Scorpio Sky or Ethan Page is probably who I'm going with.
I'm okay with Ethan Page. If I had it my way, I would still say someone like Andrade.
I would too, but I don't know.
I think Andrade and Sammy would put on a crazy match.
100%, but I just think that
I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to say Ethan Page
they've just
based
been
off of booking.
Yeah, they've been building towards that. AW tag title match, Lucha Bros against
Briscoes?
I could see that.
A match that the Briscoes could lose but still be awesome. FTR could get involved.
And then they set up their match for...
I'm going to say the Briscoes. I don't
like
see
it.
another team that I would...
I like it.
I would put up against them right now.
It's kind of jumping the gun a little bit, but I know that they had a 10-man tag on Rampage, which airs tomorrow, and they were pairing Lucha Bros with... hang on a second. I want to make sure I'm saying this correctly. Yeah, so Lucha Bros partnered with Eddie Kingston and Santana and Ortiz. So because they don't have really a storyline with anybody, I mean, we never did get the Lucha Bros FTR 2 out of 3 falls match, so it could be that, and then Briscoes cost FTR.
I say Briscoes because it kind of creates a three-way dynamic there because FTR is feuding with both of those teams.
Maybe we get a triple threat tag match.
So I would be okay with like FTR being out of the match. Briscoes versus Lucha Bros for a dream match. FTR costs Briscoes that match. Then they do FTR versus Lucha Bros at the next thing.
Could be a title for title match too.
Briscoes get involved there, cost FTR that match.
I like it. I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna go with Briscoes also. But
it's a really great dynamic.
But I mean, you could also do Lucha Bros and FTR, Lucha Bros and Santana and Ortiz, who have not really had any kind of a
Santana Ortiz too. That you could see that dissension happen here on Rampage too. So
and then world title match, Hangman Page against
who cares? Because in my opinion, it won't really matter. But
unless for some reason we get like Hangman Page against MJF or Hangman Page against CM Punk, which I don't.
It can't be somebody that can't take a loss, and I'll explain that in a little bit. But
okay,
so it can't be Punk, it can't be Bryan. I'm thinking it's going to be someone that would be a really great match.
And we've exhausted the time limit draws at this point, so
it's probably going to be a dusty finish where there's not going to be a winner.
Yeah.
I'm going to just throw a random name out, somebody that might just be an entertaining match.
Okay.
Brian Cage.
We haven't seen him in a minute.
Brian Cage stands out to me as he could show up and say, I want a match, and him or a return of Lance Archer.
I'm going Hangman Page and Miro.
Miro's a good one. I like Miro.
So, guys, thanks so much for your questions. We really appreciate it. We enjoy answering them. I said that right. For now, it's time for some Lord Alfred Hayes.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
We got some cool announcements, so stick around. But I want to let you know that you can check out the Going Broadway podcast. We are live every single Thursday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central Time. across all of your favorite social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. And we have an Instagram page as well. We don't air live on it yet, but we're exploring possibly doing that sometime next year. The social media platforms are scrolling across the bottom of your screen right now, so you can check out those links. Again, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch. Please like, subscribe, follow, hit the notifications buttons so you are notified when we go live each and every Thursday. We will be with you live next week. I'll have more details about that in just a second, but we will not have a show the week between Christmas and New Year's. We're going to take the week off, so we will not have a show on Thursday, December 30th. Yeah, so Thursday the 30th, we will not have a podcast, but we will be back on Thursday, January 6th to kick off the new year in style. We got a lot of cool stuff planned. Watch along on Twitch for Battle of the Belts. Probably not.
Yeah,
probably not.
We're probably going to need to get through January before we can do another watch along.
Well, so
we're both pretty busy.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll just. We've told you guys a little bit about this, but we plan on doing a 12-hour Twitch exclusive stream into February, early March timeframe is what we're looking at. So it'll either be a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, like a noon to midnight Eastern type thing. We'll have more details as far as what we're going to do, but we'll have guests on. We'll watch an event or two in real time, whether it's from WWE Network. We have a few other ways to get, events that have aired previously. So I actually posted a poll, I think it was on our Twitter page, as far as what you guys would like to see. So respond to that poll. Let me know what you guys would prefer, whether it's AEW, WWE, NXT, something old school. We'll keep you updated as far as that goes. But we're really looking forward to it, but we still have not nailed down a date yet. But that being said, that will likely be our next watch party. Even if it's not a watch party in the sense that we're watching something live, we'll keep you guys updated either way. Our website is live as well. It has been for quite some time. You can check that out. It is goingbroadwaypodcast.com. We do have our store open, and these are our current WCW tribute shirts. They are $19.99 for a t-shirt plus taxes and shipping, $39.99 plus taxes and shipping for a hoodie. They do come in the purple and gold scheme as well as our black and green colors as well. So get yourself hooked up with one of these. Be fashionable. Be in style. Support the GBP. And post your photos on our social media pages. I'm hoping that we have our next t-shirt design by next week. I'm hoping, fingers crossed. So if you want to wait to place your shirt orders, I wouldn't blame you. Next week, I'm hoping to have our next t-shirt design ready to show you guys in all their glory. So stick around. We have a couple of announcements that we want to play for you guys. Make sure you have a pencil or pen and paper and jot these dates down, and we will be right back. That's right. Thursday, January 13th. We have Nikita Koloff coming on as a guest. That's going to be a ton of fun. So get your questions in ahead of time for anything you might want to ask Nikita Koloff. Again, Thursday, January 13th, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central. He will be joining us via Zoom. It's going to be a ton of fun. So, again, just to recap to this point, no show on the 30th. We'll be back on Thursday, January 6th, and then the week after that, Thursday, January 13th, Nikita Koloff will be on with us. But that's not all. Stick around. We got one more thing to show you. We'll be right back. So as you just saw, we were able to get Ricky Morton rescheduled, but it will be for a special Tuesday edition of the Going Broadway podcast next week, December 21st, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central. So you get Cole and I twice next week. So again, Tuesday, December 21st, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central, Ricky Morton. Get your questions in for that as well. And then we'll be live again Thursday, December 23rd for a pre-Christmas edition as well. Again, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central for that as well. I'm really looking forward to the next few months, guys. We got some cool stuff down the line. That's really all I can share at the moment, but you're going to want to stick around. You're going to want to check out the Going Broadway podcast, whether you're live, whether you're watching us, whether you're listening. Again, please like, share, subscribe, follow across all of our social media platforms. We are on all of your favorite podcasting platforms as well. Apple, Google, Spotify, Podbean, Stitcher, you name it, we should be on it. So
listen, December 21st is my birthday, all right? So Ricky Morton's going to be on my birthday. All I'm asking from you guys is to join us, share it. It'd be really cool to get like 100 and something people on here. Let's top our record amount of live viewers.
That's not a watch party.
That's not a watch party, all right? Like, tell everybody about this. Get them on here. For my birthday, I would love that you guys would just blow this interview with Ricky Morton up. Get as many people on here as possible. I want the chat thread just blowing up so we have so many questions to pick from for Ricky Morton to answer. So please join us for that day. It would mean the world to me, specifically on my birthday, to have a ton of people on here for that interview.
So yeah, light up our thread, guys. Let's see. Okay. Sorry for the dead air, guys. Like I've mentioned before, I wear multiple hats here, and I was just reading an email real quick. Okay, so we started Unpopular Opinions last week, and I had a few more that I'm doing this segment again for selfish reasons because I had a few that I couldn't wait to share, because usually we rotate our segments in and out every 3-4 weeks, something like that, and I don't even know if my Unpopular Opinions by that point would be
relevant.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm going to let mine simmer. I'm going to let you guys, I'm going to let the suspense build. I'm going to let Cole go first with one of them.
All right, I'm actually going to save my big one for the end. I have an unpopular opinion that's actually not mine.
Okay.
I strolled across this morning, and I had to bring it up because I want to talk about it.
Okay.
Bully Ray makes this comment. Bully Ray says, no company has created more stars than ROH. Your thoughts?
I'm just laughing because I actually thought you were going a different route with.
Oh, where did you think I was going?
Bully Ray did something or said something about.
Of course he did.
Like he wished that a company could produce a good heel that's not like good to. Not fun to hate, but like someone that's a true heel, like a Rick Rude kind of.
Oh, okay.
And I thought you were going to say something about that.
No. I want to hear your thoughts about no company has created more stars than ROH.
I disagree with him. I don't know if there's.
That's got to be an unpopular opinion, right? Like his thought is a crazy thought to say.
It's not totally invalid, but I mean, they have created a bunch of stars, but by definition,
I guess we got to define the word create. Okay. What does it mean to create a star? Did ROH create Seth Rollins or did WWE create Seth Rollins?
oh, WWE 100% did.
Did ROH create John Moxley / Dean Ambrose or did, you know what I mean? Like, if we're going to go down the list of people, you know, that have been a part of ROH at some point or another, CM Punk, Adam Cole, like, did they create them or did they just give them a platform to elevate themselves and the next company they went to really built them and created them? And some of these stars that we can name, did they not create themselves?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just wanted to get people's thoughts, your thoughts on this, because that is a crazy statement to make.
I see what he's
going up against companies like WWE who have created some of the biggest stars. Long term, I don't think there's a company that beats WWE on stars that they've created.
I see what he's saying, but I don't like how he phrased it. Kind of like what you're saying. I don't think ROH made stars. Like you said, they just gave them the platform to showcase their skills. And, you know, to their credit, they got over with people. But Seth Rollins was Tyler Black. Kevin Owens was Kevin Steen. Sami Zayn was El Generico. You know, Daniel Bryan was Bryan Danielson. You could throw, I mean, I guess AJ Styles is still AJ Styles, but
AJ Styles was Impact anyways.
Well,
you
that's
can't
true.
give ROH that credit.
I mean, really, even aside from name changing or remaining the same, Samoa Joe didn't Impact Wrestling, 100%.
I actually would probably argue Impact's created more stars.
I would argue that as well
than ROH. But and here's the problem I have. I could say ROH. You could make the statement that ROH has been probably the best breeding ground consistently over the years for future stars. But to say that they created, I was like, when I saw that, I was like, I can't believe that that's his thought. Like, being someone who's been through WWE, who's worked with that company, to look at the stars that they've created, people out of nothing. We're talking the Brock Lesnar's. We're not talking about someone who got over on a little show and then went to another company and became huge.
We're talking
about homegrown stars. You're talking Brock Lesnar, Batista, John Cena, Randy Orton, and those are just like the big four.
We're not talking big fish in a small pond.
Right. Like
so
I had to bring that up because I scrolled across it this morning. I was like, if we're going to talk about unpopular opinions, that is a crazy statement to make.
Yeah. No, 100%. Okay, I'm going to jump to AEW again.
We're probably going to be staying there.
Maybe, I don't know.
Well, my next one's AEW related.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't understand the hype with Hook.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I don't get it.
I did not think you told me you had a thought on this, but I did not think that this is where this is going. Okay, I'm intrigued. I want to hear this.
I watched the match with him and Fuego. I don't get it. I mean, he didn't look bad in the ring, but I mean, I don't get it because he comes out with a half arrogant, smug smirk look on his face, you know, because his hair is weird. The dude still needs to. I mean, look, I have no room to talk. Like I don't have a great build, but he needs to hit the gym longer than he needs to hit the gym more. If he's going to be believable, what they announce him as 100 and I weigh more than he does. I'm not saying I have the same wrestling skills that he does. Don't get me wrong, but for everyone to say that he's going to be future AEW World Champion, I'm not saying you're wrong, but to say that based on that match, you are out of your mind. Brian Steele says Hook looked good technically wise, but he has the personality of toast, very basic. I almost disagree. I mean, I still think he's got some work to do as far as technical wrestling goes. I mean, he looked out of place whenever he I forgot what the scenario was or what the spot was, but he lifted Fuego up in the air. Looked like he didn't know what to do with him at first and then just just
Threw him down.
tossed him down or whatever. And I don't get it. I don't understand. Besides, Taz being his father, I don't know. I don't know.
So a couple thoughts on that. I actually went and watched this match based off of you saying I have a thought on Hook. Because in our chat, you and I were like, I'll talk about that more tomorrow or whatever day it was.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, maybe I need to go watch this. Because I'm going to be honest with you. I don't watch AEW Dark. I don't watch Elevation or whatever it's called. I think they're a waste of my time. So it is an impressive feat, though, to note that he outsold CM Punk in shirts on Pro Wrestling Tees based off of this one match that he has. And it's literally a shirt. It's a white shirt with the black lettering that says Hook, right? Like, it's not even like some...
You could go make that shirt.
Impressive shirt.
You could go out and bootleg that shirt in 5 minutes. It's a basic white T-shirt with block lettering practically.
So, I actually am inclined to agree with you. I would say it's an unpopular opinion still, but I'm inclined to agree with your statement. One, first off, anyone who's got the name Hook should rebrand right off the jump. I don't like the name first and foremost.
Okay.
Like, it's a terrible name. It makes him sound kiddish. It does. You're right. He has the way that they're making him wrestle in the ring does not fit his body build. Taz was a big dude with the aggressive suplex, whatever. He had a very aggressive look to him. Hook,
Taz was the old school, stocky, barrel-chested wrestler that you would always see in the 50s and 60s.
Hook looks like the high school bully in most movies. Like, he's not very big to be doing this aggressive booking of movesets and excuse me.
And they had to put him with Fuego to make him look like this.
Right. It was, and keep in mind, it was on a dark match. If they were really sold that Hook's ready and all this stuff, he would have been on main television in, Wardlow's slot on Winter is Coming. Like, it just, I don't get the hype. I guess people are really, this is the beauty of wrestling, though, is that fans can get behind whoever they want.
Actually, you said this is on Dark. This is actually on Rampage.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Kudos to him. He got to skip Dark. My bad. Hook's televised already. Anyways, that tells you I don't really watch Rampage either. Every once in a while, it depends on the card.
Anyway.
Yeah, I didn't understand the hype. I watched the match. I think for me, because the hype had already happened and then I watched the match, I was like, yeah, I don't see it. Maybe if I would have watched it first, I'm like, okay, yeah, I see some potential maybe. I see some whatever. But now the crazy thing is fans are behind him. So now the sky is up for him or the sky's the limit, I should say, because everyone's already behind him. You've got a ton of people that bought your shirt. You got a ton of people who want to see what you can continue to do. I don't know if the fact that he's Taz's son is a help. It wasn't like Taz was like one of the biggest stars ever. You know what I mean? Like he's kind of a bust, actually, if you really want to look at his career. So
part of that's not his fault, though. That's just...
Oh, true. But I'm saying if we're going to go off career, he was a bust. So I don't know. I would be inclined to agree with you, but it is definitely an unpopular opinion based off of the hype he's gotten.
People on social media were raving about it. I'm like, I don't see it. I don't see it yet. I'm not saying I won't, but based on that first match, I'm just like,
he needs a change of like character. He needs a change of moveset. He needs to put on some more muscle.
I don't disagree with the build and anticipation of him having his first match. I'm okay with that. But, and I'm not even saying he wasn't ready for this first match, but I mean, if he's going to be believable, and I'm not trying to sound like Kevin Nash and Vanilla Midgets and all that stuff, but like he really needs to put on some more mass for, to seem like he is going to be this believable,
dominant wrestler.
Yeah.
Like that's the problem, that they're booking him as like a Taz, where he's going to be super dominant and aggressive and all that stuff. And yeah, he needs a manager. That's not Taz.
David Tilley says for a first match it was good. I would say it was average because he went against Fuego. No offense to Fuego, but I mean it was an average match. Which if it's your first match and you have an average match on TV, I guess that you consider that good.
I will say for his first match, it was good. For a match in general, it was average. I guess I could agree with, if you're going to specifically say for his match it was good, then I could get on board with it.
And I will say this, guys, due to time, we're probably not going to get to the Friday night previews, but you can just Google AEW Rampage and SmackDown and see what's going to be on tomorrow. But let's do a couple more.
So we're doing unpopular opinions.
Yeah, I'll have you do one more, and I'll do one more.
All right. This is the one I've been waiting to share. AEW, I'm sorry I'm picking on you. I really am.
Oh, it's fine. My next one's AEW also.
But I cannot stand how they book. I can't. I am so.
I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion.
but here's where it gets unpopular for me. I am tired of them protecting all of the big names. I am tired of them protecting all of them to the point that we can't get a legitimate match. We can't get a legitimate storyline because everyone's got to be, all the big names, they can't take a loss. They can't lose a title match. They can't do nothing. And it's so annoying because if this was happening in WWE, which it does, people get mad and they're like, oh, they're not going to let so-and-so lose the belt. Like Roman's so protected and yada, yada, yada. Let me just read you some standings since AEW is so big on standings.
Educate us.
Adam Cole, 5-0.
Of course.
Adam Page, 13-1.
And 1.
Andrade El Idolo, 6-3. Let's see here. Anthony Ogogo, 4-1. 4-1. Anthony Ogogo. Bobby Fish, though, is 4-4.
I said last night, I was talking to some of our viewers last night during Winter is Coming. I actually said with this Super Click and Bobby Fish group, Bobby Fish should be the star of that group.
Oh, for sure. Let's look at some more. Brian Cage, 18-5. Brian Pillman Jr., 4-2. Let's keep looking. Bryan Danielson, as of last night, 13-0-2. Can't take a loss. He can take 2 draws though. Chris Jericho, 6-1. Christian Cage, 7-1.
And this is 2021 standings, right?
I'm looking at AEW's website right now. CM Punk, 8-0. Cody Rhodes, 10-4. Colt Cabana, 6-2. 6-2. I don't think this is counting dark matches.
Oh, no, it does.
Because Colton Gunn, doesn't he have way more than 1 win? Isn't he like 27-0 on dark or something like that?
You're thinking of Austin Gunn, probably.
Okay. So I'm not going to mention him then. Dante Martin, 21-7. Darby Allin, 21-4. Eddie Kingston, 12-5. Dustin Rhodes, 5-2. Ethan Page, 11-3.
Think about that, guys. Your average AEW talent, or most AEW talents are having an average of like 15 matches per year because their roster is so inflated.
I'm looking at it here.
And by the way, it makes it even worse because they are including dark and elevation matches that they're just going up against jobbers, basically.
But Jay Lethal's 1-1. I just got to point out some of the names that I'm just blown away by. John Moxley, 15-3. Jungle Boy, 16-3. A tag wrestler has 16-3 record. I love Jungle Boy. Don't get me wrong, but a tag wrestler, he's 16-3. Kenny Omega, 8-2-1. Kip Sabian's 2-0. I know he's been off TV, but I had to mention that. Lance Archer, 25-5. Luchasaurus, 4-0. 4-0. Singles. He's a tag wrestler. 4-0.
These are singles records.
These are their singles records.
Okay.
Lee Johnson, 10-4. Lee Johnson. Who? Lee Johnson, 10-4. Let's keep looking. Matt Hardy, 11-5. Matt Hardy, 11-5. I'm blown away by this, y'all. Matt Sydal. No, his isn't very good. Okay. I got to backtrack on Matt Sydal. Max Caster, 8-3. Miro, 14-2. MJF, 5-1. Malachi Black, 6-1. Y'all getting the picture here? Orange Cassidy, 24-1. I had to make sure I split that up. Pat, 12, 3, and 1. Way too many draws here, y'all. Way too many. Paul White, 3 and 0. Penta L0, 6 and 3. Powerhouse Hobb, 19 and 4. Preston Vance, a guy that's a no-name mask guy in a group, 15 and 3. Ricky Stark, 7 and 1. Ray Phoenix, 6 and 2. Sammy Guevara, 10 and 1. Scorpio Sky, 12 and 1. A couple more here.
You just going down the entire roster
Yep.
here?
I'm almost done. Sting has 0 wins as a singles wrestler. Just want to point that out. Stu Grayson, 2 and 0. The Blade, 5 and 2. The Butcher, 2 and 1. Tony Nese, 5 and 1. And Wardlow, 13 and 2. Those are the records. I just named more people on this list. Excuse me. That have such good records. None of them can take a loss. Nobody can lose clean. Everyone's protected. I'm sick of it. I'm so done with this mentality that everyone's got to have their way. And this is the thing I hate about AEW is that everybody has to have their way. Nobody can take a loss. Nobody, like Adam Cole should be okay with taking a loss. I get he's the biggest star or whatever, but they don't have to have like the world's greatest record to still be one of the biggest talents. Dolph Ziggler has lost time and time again and is still over like crazy. Seth Rollins loses all the time.
Yeah.
Still over. I am so sick of AEW. They protect everybody. Daniel Bryanson should or Bryan Danielson should not have 2 draws on his record.
Yeah.
All because they don't want him to take a loss. That's why I hated last night's match. I knew this was going to happen because you can't have Adam Hangman Page lose the belt. But, we just can't let Bryan Danielson get 1 loss to put over the main champion of our brand that we're sold on. We can't let him take a loss. CM Punk, we can't put CM Punk in the title picture. Why? He can't lose. You got way too many guys on the roster who you can't let them lose because if they do, somehow magically that makes them irrelevant and makes them terrible and makes them not able to get over and all this stuff. I am so done with this. This is why I hate the standings because they don't even make sense. You can go look at the standings on their website and tell me when those people are getting their title match. Because those aren't the people who are getting their title match. I'm done. Like it is so frustrating that you'll push Jungle Boy to the moon but won't give him the big win. You'll push all these guys and they have Powerhouse Hobbs has one of the best records in wrestling on their promotion, and he's hardly ever on TV. Anthony Ogogo, percentage-wise, has a better record than most of the stars on the roster, and you don't even use him. Like he's not even like it's insane to me that these records are the way they are, and yet nobody can take a loss. Storylines don't progress because of it. There are way too many draws on. I probably named like 5 or 6 wrestlers that have 1 or 2 draws on their record just for this year. Just for this year is a problem for me. So I had to get it out. AEW, this is ridiculous. Y'all got to start letting your big stars. This is what will create shock and awe and value in your storylines is when Adam Cole takes a loss, when CM Punk takes a loss, when Bryan Danielson takes a loss. There's got to be that.
Yeah.
And so far, and you're protecting old guys. Matt Hardy should not have a winning record. Come on now. Christian Cage should not have that good of a winning record. You know what I mean? Like, it's just insane to me. Paul White is 3-0, y'all. Like 3-0. He don't even wrestle.
Okay. You guys ready for shock and awe? You just use that term. This might be my most unpopular opinion that I've ever given, but hear me out. And someone, I think it was David Tilley, asked this during our fan mail. He asked, how would I book the MJF and CM Punk feud? I don't know if I would necessarily have them do more than 1 match. Maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't. I don't know. But I actually think... Now, this is if AEW can execute this correctly. I'll preface by saying that. I think they should actually have CM Punk win against MJF if it can help to build heel heat for reasons of MJF is the heel that people like to hate or hate to love, whatever, however you want to phrase it. if AEW can somehow capitalize on CM Punk defeating MJF in the sense that the fandom of MJF is so much that, they expect MJF to be CM Punk's first loss, but then CM Punk gets the win, and it's like, well, CM Punk's old, he shouldn't have gotten this win. If it becomes a shoot heel turn, if that makes sense.
Right.
I think if AEW could execute this correctly, I think it would be great in the long run for CM Punk to have a heel turn that would make him more entertaining to watch in the long run as far as his promos go, because I agree, I'm over the smiling, happy sunshine and lemonade and bad analogy, but you get what I'm saying, just the happy promos.
He's a terrible babyface.
Yeah, exactly. And so do you think Punk in that situation would win clean? I don't know.
Yes. If you want the reaction you are wanting, CM Punk would have to win clean. It would have to be.
I would lean on the side of it would definitely help to generate the heat that would have to come from it if he wins clean. And it almost have to be like a non-expected kind of thing, kind of like, not to this degree, but like when Lesnar beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania, broke his streak. Even after the third F5, no one was expecting that 3 count. And when the ref's hand hit the mat for 3, it was like, wait, what? You need something like that to generate the heat that CM Punk would need for this heel turn. I think it could be executed correctly. So that's my logic in. Now, I'm not saying MJF would turn face. I'm not saying this would be a double turn. I'm saying probably being a single match. MJF takes the loss to Punk. Gradually, maybe over a couple weeks, Punk would really solidify this heel turn. Kind of becoming this arrogant, I've truly proved that I'm the best in the world, and his whole shtick about that. Become a little more edgy with his promos and things like that. I don't know who you'd put him in a program with. I don't know who you'd put MJF with after that. I'm just saying for the fans, myself included, that are kind of over the babyface promos that don't really seem to, aside from like the one-off pops here and there, the John Cena reference and the Miz reference, Tony Khan's daughter marrying her reference, it's been lackluster. And so that's my logic.
Yeah, I think you bring up good points. And this is my point exactly with what I was saying, and CM Punk falls into this category. I thought these, I don't want to call them old guys, but veteran talents coming in.
Yeah.
Were supposed to be to help get over the others.
Yep.
How is CM Punk staying undefeated, putting over anybody? How is Bryan Danielson staying basically undefeated, putting over anybody? Christian Cage, 7-1. How Matt Hardy, 12-5. Like, how are these guys putting over other people if they're the ones getting the wins?
I would argue that the only 2 people that seemed like they were better coming out of their matches with Punk and Danielson would be Hangman Page, just because they went an hour, and maybe Darby Allin. But besides those 2, I would even.
Darby Allin didn't need CM Punk to get over, though.
No. I'm not saying I'm just saying he might have come out better from a in-ring education standpoint.
I see where you're going with it. Same with Hangman Page.
But it is pushing it. I'm just saying, at best,
you're not putting over anybody. And CM Punk fought Eddie Kingston, which isn't even a young guy in the sense. It's another veteran. So that does us no good. I thought this was supposed to elevate the talents that you want to be over in the next couple years, but you're having all of them take losses.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me. And someone asked it here, will CM Punk ever lose a match in AEW? I'm gonna be real with you. I hope to God he does. This is the stuff you all, and I say you all, not necessarily the people viewing, but just wrestling fans in general. Y'all hated John Cena when he got all the wins and never lost. You guys hate Roman Reigns because he gets all the wins and he gets put over. nonstop, and we trash WWE for these things. And then AEW does the exact same junk, and we praise it, and we tell people it's good wrestling, and it's the number one show, and it's like they're copying the exact same mold as the other company. They're just doing it with people you like. And that's the only difference, is that they're doing it with people that you like.
And it's nothing new in wrestling. I mean, that's how you build a credible champion, a credible heel.
I'm not
sometimes.
dissing it, but
no, I know. I'm agreeing with you.
Bringing Punk in should have been, Punk can get some wins off, first, get his bearings, get his jump back into wrestling. But CM Punk should have took a loss to somebody. 8 matches in, you're telling me a guy who hasn't wrestled in 10 years? Like, we want it to be real too. A guy that hasn't wrestled in 10 years shouldn't be winning 8 matches in a row. It just shouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
Bryan Danielson, who came in, we're acting like Bryan Danielson's in his prime. We're treating Bryan Danielson like he's the Daniel Bryan of 10 years ago. He's not. He can't do half the stuff that he used to do. That's the problem I'm having with this overbooking of Bryan Danielson, as he's like the top guy in wrestling. He's not.
Yeah.
He's good. I like Bryan Danielson, but to book him like he could put on an hour match realistically with someone as young as Paige and as talented as Paige is, to me, is just not real. It's not realistic. He shouldn't have been kicking out of half the stuff he kicked out of. I don't know. I agree with you. I do think it's an unpopular opinion, though, is that MJF shouldn't take a loss to Punk.
The only way Punk should come out of this with a win is if it leads to a heel turn.
Again, I'm at the point with Punk, though, or with AEW. You booked yourself into a corner. You don't want MJF to take a loss. He's 5-1, I think is what I said. He's not wrestling a ton on TV, which is what makes him special, is that he cheats to win just about every match that he's in as well. It's a good heel. He's a great heel. But you book him against CM Punk, and now you're like, okay, who takes the loss? I don't know. Let's do a draw, because we neither one can afford to do it, or we'll send someone out and cause a DQ and make it a no contest, because no one can ever afford to take a loss.
Yeah. Guys, once again, we've run a little bit long. It's about a quarter after 12 Eastern, quarter after 11 Central. Unfortunately, it's not about that time. It is well past that time, and we're going to have to jump off here. Cole, any final thoughts?
Guys, as always, thank you for watching the greatest wrestling podcast ever. We sincerely appreciate it. Don't forget to tune in with us next week on my birthday, Tuesday, December 21st. We have Ricky Morton on the show. We're going to want you to be here for that. Get in the chat, ask some questions, tell everybody about it. We want you on board for that show. We also have a regularly scheduled show on Thursday that week as well, right before Christmas. So make sure you're joining us for that as well. Don't forget to go get your Going Broadway podcast merch. It is on our website. You can get it. It's comfortable, it's fashionable, and it supports us. So thank you for getting that. And we sincerely appreciate that. But as always, guys,
real quick, Chris Robinson asked what happened to the raffle we were going to do. We're going to push that to next week just because of time, and we're to be honest, 100% totally forgot about it. I didn't even have any kind of a randomizer pulled up here. Didn't have the names prepared, so that's my bad. That's totally my fault. I appreciate you bringing it up. I will make a note. We will do that next Thursday, and so. Stay tuned for that.
Can we do it next Tuesday?
Huh?
Can we do it next Tuesday?
Did I say Tuesday? I meant Thursday.
No, can we do it Tuesday?
I don't know.
With Ricky Morton on? Let's make it happen.
We'll see.
Y'all might want to tune in Tuesday. I'm going to talk Alex into doing this belt thing on Tuesday.
Okay,
so
we'll do it Tuesday.
Let's get it. It's my birthday, Alex.
We'll do it Tuesday. We will do it Tuesday, whether Ricky is on with us at that point or not. I'm assuming we're going to have him with us the entire duration. I'm assuming it's going to be hour and a half. He's not told me either way if he has any kind of time constraints. So, no, but we're looking forward to it, and we will do that on Tuesday. So, again, Tuesday the 21st, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central with Ricky Morton, and we'll also be live with you Thursday morning, December 23rd, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central. Cole, give the people what they want.
But now I give you your favorite thing.
We're going to let you go with some more Steiner Brothers old school theme, by the way. I don't think anyone ever guessed that. Again, join us Tuesday and Thursday next week, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central. We'll see you then.